Can you hear Scott? What the heck?
I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
I can hear everybody.
Okay.
Yeah, now I can hear you, Scott.
All right, good. All right, I was having some problems. Sorry about that, folks. Let's just start this again. So welcome, afternoon, everybody, to the Prospective Leaders Network, a session on NFRC documents. My name is Scott Hanlon, and beyond the technical difficulties, I'm a Director of Program Operations for NFRC. The goal of this presentation is to provide a high-level overview of the program and technical documents and the relationship to the NFRC certification programs. This will be a very easy agenda for you, a short review of NFRC's history, current details about the NFRC certification processes, where NFRC is going, and then information regarding NFRC's documents. So the past, the present, and the future of NFRC. I'd like to tell you about how NFRC came about, understanding the certification programs in relation to our participants, who's come to recognize NFRC, our relationships, and the future of NFRC. The history is from NFRC is due to the energy crisis in the 70s and 80s and prior to NFRC. And that manufacturer could use any means to provide performance ratings to meet or exceed the required performance. They can state any performance level due to the lack of standardization within the industry. Performance results were provided based on different sizes, different standards. And this would confuse the consumer, a code official, a homeowner, the building owner, general contractor, anybody would be confused. The government highly recommended a change. So either the government was going to step in or the industry needed to figure out a solution. And NFRC was formed and part of the only recognized energy performance program for windows, doors, and skylights. The introduction of NFRC as a sole source for independent ratings helped standardize the simulation and testing methodologies, providing the consumer a means to compare different products to the same level. NFRC certification program also helped the code bodies to set a level playing field. International Energy Codes references NFRC, and most importantly, NFRC certification is required for Energy Star products. One important factor that was introducing of the NFRC label, which omits the different confusing methods to provide energy performance data. And as you can see here, we were standardizing and creating a level playing surface. So you're comparing the same product and the consumer was happy. NFRC's goal is to establish a level playing field for all participants, manufacturers, laboratories, certification programs. And in the end, this goal creates a fair and credible program that benefits the consumer. NFRC is visible in the codes or other third-party programs. However, many do not realize the unspoken benefits of NFRC's certification program that helps transform the marketplace and promotes energy efficiency. So you may be wondering, how does NFRC work well for the industry? Well, there's two easy points. NFRC provides a level playing field for the industry, and the NFRC certification program, the PCP, works like a three-legged stool, utilizing three major components to support a credible program. So sometimes I may be asked, what's special about NFRC's way of doing things? And this is what I really enjoy, explaining how the design of the PCP and why NFRC has been successful for the industry by providing a level playing field in a simple three-legged stool methodology. It all starts with the simulation standardized procedures for the simulation labs, the NFRC 100, 200, and 500, and the simulation procedures and manuals. For NFRC certification, only NFRC certified simulators that work for an NFRC accredited lab can provide those ratings. Next, the test lab physically tests a single product to validate that product line, using the same standard procedures established for all the NFRC accredited laboratories. The independent certification programs, your IAs, review the reports and simulations with the goal to authorize the product for certification. There are specific requirements to validate the simulation that are referenced in our technical and program documents. And the NFRC certification program utilizes the three independent processes that are following NFRC's procedures and standardized protocols. Fair, accurate, and credible level playing field for all entities. NFRC does not allow certification without using all these three legs. The manufacturer cannot provide the data, so it's complete total independence. The simulation and certification programs are developed and maintained by NFRC. ISO documents, consensus organizations, there's no government regulations. The government does not intervene, but uses the rating program. Other programs and codes, such as utilities, leads, code officials in Nebraska, California Energy Commission, and Canada rely on the energy performance ratings for their programs. NFRC is recognized by Energy Star, NRCan, which is National Resources of Canada, the IECC. And just recently, NRCan is requiring that all simulators for their Energy Star program shall be NFRC certified in January of 2019. We have international relationships with the Australian Fenestration Rating Council, the AFRC, the Association of Architectural Aluminum Manufacturers of South Africa, and our Korean friends, Korean Architectural Facade Association in CAFA. We actually have a NFRC certified CAFA NFRC simulator program for them. We do have some future ratings on the way. We have a new methodology we've been developing for the past few years, such as the residential component-based calculation that will use a trend line approach for the ratings. We're looking at a new condensation index rating. And we're trying to do some things with spandrels. And I believe by the end of this year, we should have some ballots to include simulating and rating spandrel products. We have a simplified door rating that we're managing and putting together a rating program for that. And we have a ventilation rating program that's been developed, and we're trying to get that implemented as well. So now we'll talk about our NFRC documents. I'll describe the different documents in detail and their relationship to the participants, such as the operational documents deal with the operations of NFRC. The program documents deal with regulations for our program participants. Technical documents are the test methods and standards, and then the way we distribute new updates and standards for, through NFRC bulletins. The operational documents. These are the bylaws and the ops manual for NFRC, and they govern NFRC regarding legalese and operations. The bylaws are the articles of the corporation establishing the hierarchy in NFRC, board composition, and officers. The NFRC 710 provides the details on committee structures and procedures, meeting guidelines, and voting, the way we get things done down in the weeds at NFRC. And these documents are all governed by the board of directors. Our program documents. The program documents listed here cover all the programs and related entities such as the manufacturer, the inspection agency, our approved calculation entities, also known as the ACE, or their laboratories. And these documents can be governed by specific roster or policy committees. Now we'll demonstrate the relationship of the program documents and entities for the residential and the component approach PCP. So for the residential program, the guideline document for the participants is the NFRC 700. The third-party entities, the labs and the IA, follow the NFRC 701 and NFRC 702. This is where the third-party independence occurs within the NFRC certification program. The IAs and the labs utilize the technical documents, the NFRC 100, 200, 500, and SIM manuals and technical interpretations. The energy performance values are used for rating products and listed on the NFRC label and in the CPD. The NFRC 102 is a technical document for the validation testing. There are other technical documents for test-only products as well, but they're not listed. Pay particular attention to the term standards, as this is where the standardization of the NFRC plays an important role in the certification program. For the CMA program, the guideline document for the participants is the NFRC 705. The third-party entities are the laboratories and the IAs who follow the 701 and the 702. Again, third-party independence can be recognized here. Labs and I utilize the technical documents, again, the 100 and 200, and SIM manual and technical interpretations for simulations which are loaded into the buckets in the component and modeling approach software tool called CMAST. And the NFRC 102 is used for validation testing. Notice the term standardized is still present in this certification program as well. The final part of the CMA program is a new entity known as the ACE to provide the energy performance calculation. They are the approved calculation entity, and the 708, the NFRC 708, governs the ACE. The following are the documents particularly to the participant and licensee who's fabricating the products. The NFRC 700 is the governing document, which I will describe in more detail in the next slide. The 704 is the fee schedule for all entities, providing the annual fees to participate in the certification program. The 707, used for product participants in performance compliance. Michelle Sism, our quality manager, is staff contact for this program. The FS 1001 is our FENSTAR certification program governing document, and this is for Energy Star partners only. So if you want an Energy Star product, this is the program document you will use in accordance with also the 700 to have your product NFRC certified. The 714 is the challenge and appeals document that is only used for challenging such spectral data or thermophysical properties. And NFRC has not even used this one to date, so that's a good thing. Again, that demonstrates the independence of our program. As previously mentioned, the NFRC 700 is the governing document for licensees participating in the residential and the site-built programs. The document lists the license agreement requirements, product evaluations such as mandatory and optional ratings, information about in-plant inspections and recertification requirements, and the two main requirements, information on permanent and temporary labeling and the requirements to maintain certification. Editing of the document works based on the committee chain. The ratings committee moves the 700 document to the board of directors for approval, whereas most of the work is done at the task group and subcommittee level. The certification policy committee, known as the CPC, governs the NFRC 700 that provides necessarily the support regarding interpretations and other quality issues with our program. And the following are the documents, particularly those participating, the licensee who provides a curtain wall type product. 705 is the governing document, which I described in more detail in the next slide. The 708 is the governing document for the approved calculation entities and for the CAP program. The 704 is the fee schedule for all entities providing the annual fees to participate in this program as well. And we also have, as I explained earlier, the 707, which is our compliance and monitoring program, as well as our challenge and appeals procedure. The 705 is a governing document for licensees participating in our component modeling approach to CMA program, and those that have curtain wall, slope, glazing type products. This document lists and explains the scope of each role in the program. There's plenty. We have specifying authority, an ACE, and the participant in the IA, the component approval process, the licensing requirements, information on obtaining certification and labeling certificates, and details about the quality assurance program. Editing the document works based on the committee chain. Again, the ratings committee moves the 705 to the board for approval, whereas most of the work, again, is done down at the task group or the subcommittee level. And the governing committee is the certification policy committee that governs the 705 as well regarding any interpretations and quality issues. The 708 governs the approved calculation entity who is recognized person or company authorized to provide performance calculations and issue a label certificate for the CMA program. This document describes the independent and competency requirements to maintain qualifications, and licensing procedures. The Accreditation Policy Committee, the APC, governs this document, and their role is to handle any interpretations. The NFRC 701 sets the requirements for NFRC accredited simulation and testing laboratories. The document sets the following requirements: the laboratory's independence, the individual's competency, training, lab audits and inspections, and reporting requirements for the certification program. The APC, the Accreditation Policy Committee, governs the NFRC 701, and therefore they govern the labs. The APC will approve labs, provide program interpretations, and any other related lab program items. The NFRC 702, the CAP, is the governing document for the NFRC License Certification Program, aka inspection agencies. The document provides independence and competency requirements and sets the regulations for reviewing certification, plant audits at the manufacturer's locations, and licensees' quality control. The Certification Policy Committee, the CPC, governs the 702 and the IAs, and approving any interpretations and program-related items. Our technical documents, they have a range of specifications used for simulation and testing, to how components are used in the CMA program, and supplemental information documents. The following are the documents standardized as simulation methodology. 2 of them are ANSI approved. The NFRC 703 and 704 were developed to rate specific products, laminate and film products. The 401 is a technical rating that is available for review and is the ventilation rating and is currently under review. The 500 is a condensation resistance, which is you could either do a simulation or a test. The 901 is our AEP, Annual Energy Performance Document, but we do not have a rating program for that, but there is a technical document on an annual energy performance. And the simulation manual and technical interpretations are used by entities to model or test products. Now, test-only documents, these are used for validation purposes, which is the 102, And the other documents you see there are used for when a product cannot be simulated. So we do have a solar heat gain simulation test, which is a 201, but if your product cannot be simulated, you would use the solar calorimeter. We have translucent panels or tubular daylighting devices. We'll use the 202 or the 203. For an air leakage test, you may be familiar with the ASTM 283. Well, the air leakage test is our 400, which references the 283. And then the 501 is as a user guide on how to use for the condensation resistance to do a test only. A very important part of NFRC is the use of components for simulations, which is why there are documents for determining the properties of materials and gases. Any proprietary materials are required to be listed in the NFRC 101 in order for the simulation lab to use the material in modeling in simulations. All glass spectral data shall be performed in accordance with the NFRC 300 series documents. This data is then listed in the National Glazing Database, the IGDB, and requires a pound sign in order to be used for the NFRC certification. So if you have any special glass, you will have to go through the 300, 301, 302, and have your product listed in the IGDB if you would want your glass product listed in the NFRC certification. The following are technical documents that are available for referencing, such as the 100A and the 200A, which are technical specification documents for attachment products. However, there is no certification product document for these products. The 600 series documents are used for references. For example, the 601 defines how the ratings are rounded. And then there's our bulletins. And finally, NFRC does need to provide an avenue to communicate to their industry representatives, and the most common method is through the use of bulletins. Any program-related updates are provided through these communiques. These bulletins are emailed to participants, contact, and available on the NFRC website. And this here is a snapshot of the website where there will be hyperlinks, and you can go to the bulletins by year and a little description of those bulletins. And this is vital to keep the point of contact up to date, as well as opening NFRC emails. So you do have a responsible party sheet, and keeping us informed of who these bulletins should be sent to keep our participants up to date on program requirements is very important. And I believe with that said, I'm done. Little quick update. So we can open the floor to any questions. Please raise your hand if you would like to ask a question. Jess, I don't know if you're controlling to see if there's any questions written in the check box at all.
Yep, I'm looking at the questions. None right now. So.
If you'd like to ask a question, please raise your hand. I'll be happy to unmute you.
Scott, we have one question. All NRCan will need to be certified by NFRC mandatory by January 2019?
Okay, let me try to help you out with that question. So NRCan, they do the Energy Star program for Canada. Those simulators that are submitting data for NRCan need to have NFRC certified simulator status. So that's the requirement. It's not that the products have to be NFRC certified. It's the simulator that is submitting the data for Energy Star Canada products need to have NFRC certified simulator status. So let me know if that helped you out. Is that Barb? Let me know if that helped you out, Barb. I can go into further detail if you like. I know NRCan sent some things out. You can always contact Steve Hopwood at NRCan regarding that if you need further detail. All right. Anybody else? Anybody raise their hand? Any questions? Okay. That great of a presentation, or did I put everybody to sleep? Well,
go ahead, Scott.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, I was just going to do a little more housekeeping. This is the slides in the beginning were saying that this presentation will be made available somehow next week. Jess will take care of that. Last chance to say anything. Anything for you, Jess?
No, I was going to say this is the first of the 3 webinars for National Volunteer Week. So thanks everybody for attending. And if you have any questions on how you can get more involved in NFRC, feel free to call or email me or Scott.
Yes.
So thank you, Scott. And thanks everyone for calling in. Have a great rest of your day.